Hello everyone. Today in this video I'm going to try to explain to you how time works and what we can expect the future to be like, and especially this whole idea that humanity collectively is going to experience whatever is the majority or the consensus belief or wish of our collective consciousness. So imagining here that every human being has a sort of a voting right on what should the future be, and each little human being sort of votes with their minds, with their thoughts, and that creates a sort of a collective consciousness. And whatever we experience is going to be the result of a consensus between all of our expectations. So for instance, if this one is vouching for or expecting World War III, this one is expecting World War III, this one is expecting peace, then you have, majority of people voting for World War III, and we'll get to experience World War III. I think this is incorrect. Actually, I think most people don't understand how time and whatever we get to experience as a consensus works. And to illustrate this, I'll show you a video and I'll explain how it actually works. This is a video of lightning in super slow motion. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I believe that each thought about the future, each expectation about the future works just like lightning. That is, you send a sort of a bolt of energy, your thought, into the future, and it tries to sort of test whether whatever future you're imagining has potential for bridging our reality with infinity. That is, whether that story that we're imagining is infinite, because nothing can be smaller than infinity. The universe is infinite, and a finite story in an infinite universe just won't fly. So let's take a look. So here you can see the lightning strikes, and you can see that it splits into plenty of different branches. Some go upwards, some go down, and just imagine that, and then right when it hits, that's the very important moment. You see, each of those branches that branches out is like different possible futures for humanity that we send from our present, which is somewhere in the clouds, into the future, which is not yet manifest, somewhere, and we're trying to reach the ground being sort of a symbol for all possible realities into infinity. And so every person sort of votes on what they think the future will be like, and the lightning branches out into plenty of different sub-branches. But notice that it's not necessarily the biggest one that strikes the ground. So it has nothing to do with how many people expect something. It has to do with imagining a future where all of humanity thrives and we can go on into infinity with this sort of story and exploration of infinity, of the universe being infinite, God's source being infinite. And once one branch sort of strikes the ground, it recycles all of the different energies. All of the energies here are sort of recycled. All of the parallel other stories or other potential futures are sort of recycled and absorbed by the main timeline, this one right here, the one which strikes the ground. And so, and you can see that right here, that moment, bam. And you can see that all of the energy that was going into a dead end, sort of, is reabsorbed into the main timeline. And that is actually a much more accurate way of describing how all of this works, how the future manifests, and the reason why we are very unlikely to experience World War III unless World War III is an event which manages to bridge our present time, which is somewhere in the cloud, and an infinitely long story where we become Pleiadians, Arcturians. We discover the technology to explore the universe, and only if a World War III is necessary or is part of this main timeline will it manifest. So it has nothing to do with how many people believe. It just has to do with, what branch, and you can have like one tiny little branch that bridges the cloud with the ground, and then huge branches that go into all other directions. And it doesn't matter how small this one is. All that matters is that this one makes it to the ground. The ground representing, again, infinity. Infinitely long stories. If you watch the video that I've made about the fractal nature of the universe, you'll understand that there are certain key moments or layers in the universe that are necessary for exploring infinity. So I invite you to look at that video. And so for all of those that are still worried about World War III or sort of cataclysm, or the fact that maybe a lot of people still expect this event and it might happen, and all of the psychics and all of the spiritual teachers that are tapping into the collective consciousness and are saying there's a 98% probability that we're going to do this or that. They're tapping into this. They're tapping into sort of a bundle of thoughts that represent the majority, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is if just one human being, if just one of them has an actual correct or not correct, but let's say a representation or a representation of the future, which does manage to bridge two layers of infinity, or like one, like this is the present, and this is an infinite future, infinitely long story. If just one human being manages to imagine that, it is his thoughts are going to go right down, striking the ground, and all of this energy will be reabsorbed into the what some would call the 2% or the minority timeline. So again, I think this is just a video to sort of reassure you on those that are thinking that there's going to be a huge cataclysm or terrible event. It may happen, but only if that main event is what is necessary to tell an infinitely long story. Like after that event, and that event is necessary for us to sort of discover some revolutionary technology which allows us to then seed all of the other universe in 3D and then transition to whatever 5D in the process. So I hope you found this interesting, and leave comments if you have any questions.